Arkitek Anthony Linty daripada Arkitek Center.
Well, very good morning, Penang. It's always wonderful to be back here. But this time I'm sorry, but I brought the haze. We had when I came in yesterday, I called you at the bridge. I said, I can't find the island. Well, anyway, this time I brought the whole team with me. And I'll introduce you to them. Because the work that we do is not what I do, it's the work that we do as a team. Because a building is not put up by one person, it's put up by a team. So we brought Steve here, and I'm happy to introduce to you. First, I'd like to just introduce to you our PEN president, Chan. You'd like to stand up? Yeah. It's our current PEN president. He's been tasked to, with many responsibilities, and Architect Center is being a subsidiary of PEN. It's become a very important organization in serving the needs of the public. We also have Stephen. Stephen, like to stand. Stephen is also I'm introducing you to this because I know there could be a lot of questions and answers. So, these are the people. I don't want to answer all the questions, so please feel free to bring up your questions later on. Architect Al, who's based in Penang, Al, would like to just stand up and show you. And we have our engineer, and Casey, would like to stand. Casey. And we have engineer Kok Yi-Hing, which is our electrical engineer. And engineer Kok Yen Kwan as well. Okay. Now, I'm just going to run through some of the stuff that we all are very concerned about our properties. Because ownership of your property is probably the biggest and single most expensive thing that you ever buy in your lives or own. So asset protection and asset ownership is something very important to our community. So how do you protect it? Most of us spend more money in our car, and our bodies, but we spend very little money on effort in maintaining our buildings. So this is something that I believe the generational changes and mindsets are beginning to come in. So we begin to try and reach out as much as possible to how home inspections and property inspections can be made available to you all. Now, I'm sure most of you, as what the Dato' YDP has mentioned, we sent out 349 letters, something in this order. This is probably the reminder letter. Okay. Now, so building owners, not only you in MPPP have received this letter. Now, this letter, similar, has been issued also to property owners in DBKL, in MPPJ, and MPA, which is also AMPA, which is also beginning to start inquiring on how they can start implementing this. Now, Malaysia is not the only country that's concerned about this. In the region, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, and UK have pioneered and also put in place a lot more mandatory inspections, which I will go through with you. Now, of course, those countries are a lot more advanced. Property prices, they are a lot more than what you own here. But the last time I checked, Penang property prices, some of them are even more expensive than KL. So there is no exception, because although the price of the property may differ a lot, but the concerns of safety and health are the same. So why now? Why triggered all these things? There was a mention about the Highland Tower collapse. That's a very sensational building collapse. Sometimes it gets a lot of media attention. But frankly speaking, as what Y.D. Charles said correctly, there are more incidents of fire and death related to non-structural issues. So that's why the issues of safety in building becomes very important. And I'm very delighted to see so many familiar faces here from a lot of the managing agents I see are here representing the many thousands of units that you manage. You are the unsung heroes that you face all the problems with very little budget and very little resources. So hopefully from this seminar, I highlight to you what are the issues that you really need to look at and how we can help you. Well, in Singapore, why they put in periodic structural inspection? Clearly, because it all started with the Hotel New World collapse. I'm sure those who are older may remember this hotel that went down. It was drawn by an untrained man. Okay, and you know, most engineers, I think there are a whole group of engineers here. Incidentally, do you know why it collapsed? Because the engineer only designed for the live loads. He forgot about the dead load of the building. You know, dead load means the weight of the building. He only designed the live loads, that means the occupants and the things on the inside. So that's why the building collapsed. But that's very sensational. The bottom left is in Hong Kong. You know, I know recently you heard of a building collapse in Hong Kong as well. Now in Hong Kong they have other issues which I believe you are also not immune to this, which is falling windows. Okay, especially in freak winds or even in strong wind conditions. Older buildings or even newer buildings are suffering. They call it two types of aspects. One is a mechanical, mechanical falling out. That means the screws and all that rust and then they fall out. And falling windows are not fun. Okay, if your car is below or somebody is below, it's really not fun to be standing anywhere near a falling window or a falling breaking glass. The other one is, of course, excuse me, you guys look a bit serious. Can you guys maybe smile a little bit? I know this is a serious topic. It's hard to be up here, with so many serious faces. Okay, thank you. Now, this glass cancer. What is glass cancer? Glass cancer really, is happening a lot worldwide, where glass for curtain wall buildings like you see here, they just suddenly break. Okay, yeah, it's due to the impurity in the glass. So these are the kind of issues that has led Hong Kong to even do mandatory window inspections. But over here, back in Penang and Malaysia, we are basing our inspections currently on Act 85A. Now let me tell you what this Act says. I won't go through the first two because I think it's been said. But the important one is line number 4, which is visual inspection of building condition. It seems like a simple word, but it's a big word because building condition means the entire health of the building. Okay? And structure elements. Now, structure elements means like if you are in your body, if you are above 50 years old and then you go to a doctor and you choose to go to an orthopedic surgeon because you say, look, I need a checkup, doctor, I think, I need to check my health. And you go and check yourself into an orthopedic specialist. Do you think that's a good idea? That's not a good idea because, he can't even look at your bones because he needs an x-ray to look at that. So there's a lot more issues with health of a building. Pretty much like a human, you got your heart, you got your blood, and you got your brain. There's a lot of things in there that can go wrong in aging. So similar to buildings, do not look into the wrong aspect. You have to look at the holistic situation. Also, the Act requires, over time, we expect buildings to have been altered or added with parts. You can include signages, include extensions. A lot of people I notice like to cover up their balconies with windows and glass. I see some people looking away. Now, some of these alterations of window and glass have got a history of falling out, and a lot of them are illegal. As a result of that, most of this needs to be inspected as well. Now, how the repercussions of it, I have to leave it to the policymakers here upon the completion of some of these reports. Now, on finding out issues that happen on the first inspection, the Act also allows for full structural investigations, which is part 2. We're not looking to the part 2 in this seminar. We're looking really into the part 1 of this inspection, the first visual inspection. Now, in Hong Kong, the basis of how they have arrived at the mandatory inspections, they've come up with a code of practice. You can look this up. You can look this up. You can Google this. Just Google for the building inspections of Hong Kong, where they have a long-standing problem of building neglect and to ensure safety in the long run. Same thing, Today, this morning, I hear the same thing from YD Chow and from Dr. YDP about, ensuring building safety. which they have come up with the mandatory building inspection scheme and also mandatory window inspection scheme. Now this is as late as December 2012. This is not something that they have done years ago. They tried to do it years ago. But similarly, they ran into implementation problems. This is Hong Kong. And today, December 2012, only several months ago, they have launched this officially. So you guys are just there, getting things in the framework so that things can be done properly. In Singapore, this is from the BCA Singapore, equivalent to our CIDB in Malaysia. They have an inspection scheme called SAFE, Structure Safe Building, which is under the periodic structural inspection. So here, they have also very comprehensive ways in which you are tasked and you are given notice to do the safety inspections in your property. Now, like I said, buildings like humans, they are alive and they get sick. They get sick. Okay? So you can see here, that one of the biggest attributes to this is lack of proper maintenance. Okay? Usually due to ignorance and also due to funding or apathy, building neglect, wear and tear, and mostly to do with end of life cycle. What is end of life cycle? Everybody knows every 50,000 kilometers you change the tires in your car, right? Every 10,000 kilometers you go change the oil. We all know that. But buildings, they do wear out, and things are not meant to last forever. So there are some parts of the building that reach the end of life cycle, like pumps, for example. Pumps are not meant to run for years and years. You need to change them. And if some of these pumps are not changed, in the event there's a fire, when you try to put on your fire pumps, you find that the pumps are not working. So you end up having a fire trap and buildings getting burned before bombard comes. Of course, additions and alterations, you can see from these photographs that many of these balconies have been covered up, and they all have potential. In Singapore, those things sticking out from the windows, they are called killer litter. And it's a jailable offense if something's dropped down and you hit somebody. Abuse and misuse. Okay, so now, just let me take you a step further about buildings, how the buildings that you live in and you work in and you play in. Today, I see properties being built at unprecedented speeds, faster than any time that I have known. Okay, and I've done a lot of buildings, my hair, you can see from my hair. Okay. Now, today, developers make money because they want to work fast. And every contractor that tenders a job, if they were to tender anything more than 18 months or 24 months, they don't get the job. You see, So, but really, it's true. So buildings are now built like steroids. And if you build your buildings in steroids, what happens? They are born sick. They are. Because it still takes 9 months to make a baby. You ask Prince Andrew and take that. If the baby comes out 2 months early, if the baby comes out too early, it's a premature baby. You've got problems. You've got to nurse that baby back to health. So today we see a lot of new buildings that come to Architect Center that are born sick, that never got it right in the first place. And you inherit these problems. And the problems, it's compounded and compounded. And 10 years later you go, oh, you mean we didn't have a pump all this while? This is what we are seeing in buildings, not only in Penang, but in KL as well. So speed kills quality. So we have to be very mindful of that. So maybe from now on, we have to allow shorter working hours. Right? We have to only work in the mornings, and then afternoon, no working hours here. And definitely no, extra time. Now the other aspect, and I think you all know, everybody's been to a doctor, is you get a doctor telling you you've got cancer, you're going to die. He says rubbish, incorrect diagnosis. Or maybe you got cancer, he says you got no cancer. Now, it takes a very skilled professional to see the difference between a crack that is cosmetic or serious. When you look at the crack, every crack to a layperson is serious, right? when you see a crack in a building, especially around the car parks and the building structure. But from our experience, 90% of cracks are not serious. But what happens if your building has the 10% of their cracks that are serious? Or the cracks that are not serious are diagnosed as serious and you spend thousands of dollars to go and repair and you waste your money. See, so this is the dilemma you face. Is it a minor or costly defect? Or is it safe? Look at some of these photographs here. You don't need a brain surgeon to tell you these are serious cracks, That's me there when I had black hair. Okay. So that tells you, that tells you the size of the cracks, that we see in some of the buildings. I don't even know why I'm in there now. That's how I should be running away. This photograph was a school that was built in KL that has been abandoned. It's been totally declared unsafe. A minor or costly defect. I need my pointer for this. Look at the picture on the right here. It seems so trivial. Look at here. That's the lift door, and that's just, you know what that is? That is just to check the level. Now, what happens here? Very common. The tiler installs the tile sloping inside the lift, and water goes inside the lift. It's such a small problem, but you know how costly this is? And if this was a bomba lift or a fire lift, you're in trouble. You got a death trap just because somebody messed up the tiling. You see, and that to you could be walking on this lift lobby all your life and stayed in this building for 10 years and you didn't know that this can cause such a small problem can be such costly problems. And here, we see a lot of this. The doors of apartments, which are meant to be 1-hour fire doors, with hinges that are popping out. And this is a new building. This is like a brand new building. And you got the fire door latch, the catch there, is stuck. Now what happens? The fire door is meant to work to be kept closed all the time in the building. So in the event you got a fire, it blocks the fire from moving into another space. So most of the time you find fire doors in the fire staircase. Now if your fire staircase has got one of these doors that don't close because of this little thing, in the event there's a fire, say on level 4, and you live on level 10, and you come down the staircase in an emergency, you get trapped because the fire will go into the level 4 of this door, and you get trapped there. So this little small things like this has got amazing consequences. A small picture like this, we are really scared when we see pictures like this because the biggest source of fire in buildings is from the electrical riser. The riser is, those who live in apartments, is the doors that you find near the lift lobby that you got all the electrical meters and all the main power going up. And these doors are meant to be 2-hour fire rated doors. Now we see so many properties now that don't even comply to the bomba guidelines of putting in door closers. So you see this door, it cannot be closed. And you see this door here, it cannot be closed. It can't be closed by itself. So in the event there's a fire in here, and if your unit is just beside that, you are trapped in your own apartment. Okay? So the correct diagnosis and the appropriate remedy is to identify the root cause because workmanship, bad workmanship is workmanship. Sorry, a bit bad word here, but this is what we call them, okay? So you learned it from here. It requires a team effort. Okay? It's not just one person. I can't do this alone. I have many pairs of eyes to go around and pick up issues like this. Now, a typical Malaysian fault buildings. This is basically the statistics that we have got from the many years of inspections. And if you look at this statistics here, structural faults do not account for many of the problems. It is predominantly scary, you guys. I'm more afraid of your camera than the faults of the building here. Now, if you look into here, a lot of them, the last two, roofing problems and water problems. Now, water problem is not because Shabazz turned off your tap or you didn't pay your water bill. Water problems is predominantly the single biggest problem that we face in Malaysia. Water on slopes, water in the wrong place. You know, water is meant to be in your taps, in your sink, and in your toilet bowl. But what we found is that water is everywhere except in those areas. That means you find water leaking into your parquet floor. You find water coming through your roof. You find cracks, leaks, right? I'm sure you guys got experienced these things, right? No? Yeah. Okay. Now, these are Malaysian standards, MS standards now. We get this. You see, this is a very good example of settlement in buildings. You look at here, this was the original height of the building at the shop house here. After about 10 years, the pavement has settled down. Can you see that? So they start to add all this here. So owner A uses a flexible pipe from the hardware shop. This one probably changed it earlier already. He uses, I think that's a HDPE pipe. Another one decides to use a flexible hose from his toilet bowl to connect that. And this unit here, he gave up. So this building has settled approximately 400 millimeters. That's so much. Okay. Now, I'm sure in Penang you have the same problems. Now, this may be easy to fix because you can see this. But a building like this, what about where you guys flush the toilet, the pipes that go out of your building? That will also break, right? So where does the water go? Where does all your boo-boo and your urine and everything that you flush out from your buildings, when your building has settled like this? The pipes would have broken. So a lot of the water now, and the sewage water, is found into the subsoil under the building. So this is the problems that you may see this, if there's a bigger implication. And that will affect fundamentally the structure of the building. In the long term, it will affect the health and safety of the environment. Well, this one everybody knows. Okay. This is how our industry has become. When you want a plumber, you go down the street, and then you go pick it up. The other one I took had a volcano massage sticker beside that. So I called this number 0198198765. I called this person and I got a Bangladesh and he said I can do everything. I was involved with the Rana Plaza. So Architect Center inspection reports. Now, and we are happy to share with anybody in the industry. We are not exclusive, we are inclusive. I share this information to all the people that attend our trainings all over Malaysia. I've been to Penang 3 times, I've had wonderful response. These are the 3 steps that you should emulate, where in any building inspections, whether it involves structure, architecture, roofing, mechanical, electrical, and so forth. Now I have to add gas. Is that your building, if it's defective or in fault, it's going to be in one or all of these conditions. Okay, so that's why I said the correct diagnosis is very important. It's okay, you guys don't need to write all this down. We'll make the slides available from NPPT. You can always get it from them. So just give me a full attention, and then the recommendations for how we go about doing the And also, a lot of people are concerned about cost, okay? How do we go about to do inspections? Now, what you have seen is, you've probably heard of horror stories. People going to hospitals to do medical checkup, and the doctor asks you to do 101 blood tests, urine test, this marker, check this, check that, right? And then he's just so that you spend a lot more money. You come up with all the results that you don't understand, and then he gives you a couple of pills, and you go away. Now, so that's really over charging you for work that you don't need. What you need is basically a building physician, somebody that you can consult your initial concerns. Okay, that's what we do at level 1. Okay, the initial preliminary analysis, and that's what I believe MPT is going to encourage you to do. which is visual inspections and inferences of some of the problems that you would face. And that's why I'm so encouraged to see the managing agents here, because you guys are the one facing all the problems, but nobody's listening to you. Now we are. You can ask all your questions today. Only from the findings of level 1 will we be able to implement more detailed investigations. It's no point, hacking up walls and things like that when you don't know what's wrong with you. It's no use going to level 2 until you've done level 1. And level 3 is, of course, the implementation. If you have found issues with them and you want to do it with the appropriate remedy. So level 1 inspection, let me go through in detail slightly. It won't take very long, it's only a few slides. Is the first one, we call it a holistic qualitative check. It's qualitative, and the wellness and health of your building. It's a visual walkthrough by a team of experts, which some of them you see here. Now we don't encourage the use of assistants or technicians. It is imperative that inspections must be done by the particular qualified person himself. The years and years of experience are what is required to do a visual inspection. The team will comprise of architect, engineer, CNS, and M&E, and simple instrumentations will be used. Criteria is listen to your complaints. When we go to a condominium or a JMB or a strata property, the most important thing is to listen to the problems that you face. I got leaks here, I got cracks here, I got this leak that cannot be fixed. I got this electrical wire that keeps tripping. What do? I've got contractor in there, they're quoting us an arm and a leg. Inspections of your drawings and maintenance manuals and records. Now this is a problem because I'm sure most buildings that you have, when I've been to, I say, where are your drawings? And they say, we got drawings. Then I go to the storeroom and I open it up, it's all eaten up by moth and termites and it's all in pieces. Unfortunately, this is a problem in Malaysia. So it's important that if you now own buildings that are fairly new, preserve these drawings. Invest your money in digitizing them and putting it in a CD and keep it, in safe hands. The criteria is to keep the cost of inspection minimal. And then, so therefore, the standards of reporting has to be kept in a schedule. Report with emphasis on unsafe and dangerous conditions, and of course the recommendations. So we will look into 3 elements: structural elements, architectural elements, and M&E elements. I'm going to speak a little bit about the second and the third one. The architectural elements is really looking for signs of non-structural defects, distress and deformation. Falling wall plaster is not funny as well. You don't want to be around that. We've seen 2 or 3 projects in Penang with falling plaster, and you're not talking about thin wall plastering. You're talking about thick wall plastering. Okay, when they come down, they smash your car. Okay, and passive fire safety and egress, and M&E. This is something that sometimes we tend to look away, but these are, we call it, the big ticket items. They are expensive, and if you don't maintain them or replace them or plan for the replacement, you're going to be in trouble. So the MEP means mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Cracks, leaks, and seepages. Fire safety. HD means high power, and LV means low power. Air conditioning and LPG gas piping. I'll tell you why in a moment. Level 2 inspections is the follow-up of the level 1 report. That means if we do find some issues with your building, we will make the recommendations to be implemented in level 2. So here we will do slightly more detailed survey and analysis, okay, and advanced instrumentations, and also detailed calculations used for the diagnosis. Now the reports here are not standard reports; they are tailored reports. That means you may have a team of 3 people coming to your property, but on level 2 you may only have 1. So if you have an issue with, say, fire issues, then only the fire engineer will go and prepare his portion of the report for you to implement those issues. Level 3 inspections is to follow up results, because after you fix these problems, when you have an old building, and when you do new repairs on an old building, it is not simple. For example, say you have leaks, and your leaks are in the roof, in the flat roof of your property. You can't just do any willy-nilly repair because you cannot put in certain types of way. You may have to take out the old ones and put in the new ones. And the new ones may not be compatible to the old ones. See? Most of the time, what I see is managing agents and property owners. They take the proactive role, getting quotations from waterproofing guy, and they say, look, boleh, I give you 10-year warranty, no problem. And then after they spend the money, then all the problem comes in. Then they start blaming, oh, your structure is cracking, your roof got this, your roof got that, somebody went and damaged this. So don't go to the surgeon and get your operation done until you've contacted the building physician. You understand? So get the correct diagnosis first before you go out and do the level 3 implementations. Okay, now I know there are a lot of lay people here, so consultant engineers, please bear with me. It's important that we need to explain to the general public what is Building Structure 101. 101 means Chapter 1, okay? Just a few slides. Everybody knows that a building structure is not just what you see. It's also the piling, the parts that go into the ground. Okay? Everybody knows this. Now in Penang, you have different kind of soil conditions here. Some buildings may not need piling, but they have pad footings and so forth. Now the design of this, as you can see, once the engineer has designed the piling to take the load of the building is designed at that time, say 10 years ago you designed it for this purpose. Now over 10 years, maybe you guys start to change the use of the building and then you guys put heavier load on it. Obviously the piling cannot take it. That's why I wanted to show you these slides. You cannot go in and increase the strength of the piling. Okay? And even though you get a structure, somebody's on the phone there, right? Can we get him out? Okay. So if your piling has been put into the ground, do you think that the structural engineer with a good X-ray eyes can go in there and check the condition of the piling? No, nobody can do that. Okay? It can, but it's very, very expensive. So certain things that even though you get a structural engineer to go and check, he cannot check the piling. Nobody can. Right? Second is the structure. Okay? The building structure, what you see. Like even just across here, this building under construction here. Now, concrete is always, they use steel and concrete to build it together. In Malaysia, main structures are RC frame, reinforced concrete frame. Most of the buildings, so I'm not going to go through all. It is basically what I say, the design of the consultant engineer is to design the dead load and the imposed life loads of this building. Okay? Now, if you change any of this dead load, that means suddenly you increase more floors, obviously something's going to happen, something's going to fail. And if you impose life loads was designed in such a way that you have so many people and so many things, and suddenly you change it and you put a library in lots of books and you use it for a heavy storeroom, you're going to get structural problems as well. Okay? Now, so if you can see here, in Malaysia, after the concrete frame has been built, they will fill it up with bricks inside. So they put the bricks and the windows on the inside. So you can see here, this one is like an X-ray. The graphic has been done so that you can see inside of that. But in reality, you can't see the structure. Betul tak? You cannot see the structure of the building. It's hidden behind the plaster ring. So when a structural engineer comes and checks your building, what do you think he's going to be able to check? He cannot check all the steel inside. He cannot check the concrete because it's all hidden. Just like here, the human body, you cannot check the bone. You can go and X-ray, with the technology for human X-rays there, but building X-rays, they are, but they're very expensive and they're very limited. They have huge limitations. So what I'm trying to get at is that the limitations of just doing structural inspections will give you a false sense of safety. You need to look into inspecting the building as a whole. So here, I put two samples here that perhaps you guys can see. This building that we are in, This one you can see the structure is exposed. Yeah, but not all buildings are designed like this. Many buildings today are designed like this, with the glass on the outside. So how on earth is an engineer going to go and check the structure? In fact, most important is for an architect to check the glass, for falling glass, for leaks and cracks and so forth. So one of the biggest concerns that architects and engineers experience with concrete in Malaysia is known as concrete cancer. Okay? Concrete cancer. So even buildings get cancer. Once you get cancer in this, you've got to cut it out and you've got to come and fix it at a very great cost. And now what causes concrete cancer? First of all, the building was born sick. That's actually born sick. Okay? And then water starts to get into the cracks in the concrete. And you know in Penang, it's very high humidity. This is the tropics. Moisture gets into the steel starts to rust, and then it starts to pop out the concrete. So constructions like this are difficult to repair and expensive to repair. Okay, there are more photographs of concrete cancer here. Okay? So, Kisah Benar. I have in my trainings a whole Kisah Benar lecture series. We only do all the Kisah Benar, building failures. We also have one on hantu. Yeah, when we go in there and we inspect buildings that are haunted. But that's a separate one. Yeah, that's only for on special request. But in this case, this one everybody knows, the Rana Plaza in Dhaka. You know, the one that garment factories and all that. So this only happened recently. And many people died. We're still looking for bodies in this year. If you can look at this building was still even under construction. Can you see that? It's still under construction. And clearly, the building was not designed to codes. But look, this is rare for buildings to come down like this. But it does happen. More Kisah Benar. These are slopes here. So I will speak a little bit about slopes because Penang, you have a lot of slopes in an island. Okay. So earth slope erosions, this is something that has got very little to do with structure, but a lot to do with maintenance and water. Every time it rains, the water finds its way and form little gullies, form little trenches, and it's not going to the right place. When it starts going to the wrong place, a little bit of water, a little bit of grass at the wrong place, and then soon you get failures. Okay? So this is a photo of Bukit Setiawangsa in KL. This is in 2012. Okay, not very long ago. So I'm not bringing in archive photos. These are actual photographs. Now, the underlying issue here is not only the slope design and maintenance, but actually who takes ownership of the slopes. This morning when I was having breakfast, my Grand President was alerting me to highlight this point about ownership of slopes. When you are along Tanjung Tokong, Tanjung Bunga, I have inspected several properties there that are built on slopes at the back of it. You know, you have a lot of slopes that are part of the property. Then I asked the owner, where is your boundary? Can you show me where is your pagar? They say up on the slope, halfway. Betul tak? Right? Halfway on the slope. Then I said, has anybody gone up there? The managing agent said, takut. How can I go up there? You know, I'm going to die lah, you know. I said, yeah, exactly. If you can't get up there, how do you expect anybody to get up there to maintain the slope? But you own that slope. Now, suddenly MPPP gets an application to do development on top of the slope. What happens? Which is actually happening because with the scarcity of land, slopes are going to be the next target for developers to start development. And you know, developers are very innovative. They will find ways to build on it. Are there developers here? Yeah, I'm sure you guys are. Okay, yeah. Now, anyway, this is a retaining wall. This is not homes in the soil with windows. Huh? This picture looks like a home on soil with windows. Okay, so that's why ownership of slopes become a very big, important issue that we need to look at. And effective drainage systems. Now, drains, sometimes people do not realize how important drains are. You know, we walk over it, we walk through it, you know, but drains, are again related to water. Removing water in the correct channel so that it doesn't go into the wrong area. All these photographs will show you the water is going into the wrong area, then it causes erosion. And erosion causes landslide. Defective sewage systems. Again, nothing to do with structure. This is to do with the pipes that carry all the sewage. Again, defective. Okay? Yeah, this is clearly a sewage treatment plant that has met end of its life cycle 2-3 times. On the left there, can you see this here? If you plant something there, it will grow really well. Okay, another very interesting complication is the mixed strata properties. Mixed strata properties, again, I say innovative property developers and architects. Like the Nescafe 3-in-1. Now you got 4-in-1, 5-in-1, 6-in-1. Properties that combine podium with hospitals, school, condominium, apartment, service apartment, hotel, everything in one. Betul tak? 6-in-1, 7-in-1. Yeah. Now these 6-in-1, 7-in-1 properties, if you happen to own one, it's very complicated, especially when it comes to building maintenance and management. Because first of all, access is always an issue. Okay? And you inherit a whole host of unresolved defects because details are good. Because some of these buildings are so unprecedented. You can't even get to the window to clean it. And most of the time, very little useful drawings and very unsafe conditions. Okay? So again, wall sick. Now, these photographs are taken in some of the properties. I hope it's not yours. It's not just generic photographs that we've taken. These are typical defects 7 to 8 years old. Now, the law says after 10 years, but even buildings way before 10 years are already suffering from leaks of this nature. Now, it may only be cosmetic. You say, "Tapala, just put a coat of paint," or my contractor tell me I can get this special waterproofing paint. I just paint on the wall. All your problems will solve. You believe that? If he has a paint like this, he will be a billionaire. Okay? There's no such product that you can go and paint on the wall and all your problems will go away. Okay? Now, these problems can cause balcony walls to fall out. Big slabs of balcony walls to come down. Okay? It's not nice. Time bombs going on. We have in FIAPC a whole seminar, a whole one-day seminar on the word time bomb going off, the whole time bomb series. Okay? So this is some of the slides that I've used. Where you see the bottom here, I have actually documented in some of my trainings all the typical photographs showing the aging of buildings. Same building, different building, same age, one in Penang, one in Kuala Lumpur. The one on the left is in Penang, in Tanjung Tokong, well maintained, and it's about 18 years old. Wonderful to see that. Whereas the same one in Kuala Lumpur is in that condition, very neglected. And incidentally, the one on the right had air conditioning falling out. This one, dilapidated waterproofing RC flat roofs. Can I just have a show of hands? Who has roof waterproofing problems? Come on, show me your hands. One. So few? Okay, more coming up. I'm sure there's a lot more. Okay, you guys just didn't go up to the roof. These are properties that I have done. Look at this one here. It's not swimming pool, that's not planter box. That's actually the flat roof they've been trying to repair for about 2 years, and they can't get it. And all that heaps there, that's the cement that they put there. It's all sand. But don't laugh. This is actually happening all over. Because today the waterproofing warranty says only 5 years. So what happens after 5 years for waterproofing? You mean you have to spend money every 5 years to change waterproofing? Matilah. But this is the reality, okay? Because the aging of a building, if you just look at this chart here, this is 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. the cost is going to start escalating. This WP means waterproofing. So every 5 years, you're going to go and do your waterproofing. Before you can even get money for sinking fund, you're already having to do the second repair. This is repainting. Repainting, let's say, every 10 years. You guys always want to look at repainting. Pipes and electrical trunking every, maybe 18, 20 years. And then doors, windows, roofing, roads and drains, maybe every other 20-something years. So that's what you need to look at in the long term or the life cycle to plan that. And it's not going to come down, I was speaking to one of the participants this night. He says, look, the prices of things are really getting expensive here. But that's the same everywhere. So almost all inspected RC roofs, to a significant degree, have symptoms of premature failure, which are costly and near impossible to remedy. So when the roof on top leaks, this is what happened. All this stuff's come out on the side, oozing on the side. And after a while, this wall will also crack and fall down from whatever height the building is at. This is one of my favorite photographs. This is architect Ao. He was helping us run the project, and a project here somewhere in Queens Bay. So those people around there are the residents, pretty much like you all. Are you all here, by the way? Anybody from this building? No? Okay. Probably they all resigned from the GMB. So anyway, here's a diagnosis. Your sinking fund is sunk. Because of the condition of the roof here. It's going to cost them more than $1 million. They say, how much you got? 200,000. Where are you going to look for the money? Yeah. So look, we are aware of the difficulties that even today I spoke to some, to even collect MC money, let alone putting sinking fund to do the repairs. But this is the reality of the properties that you have, and I think if you do not start addressing this thing, the value of your property will depreciate, and people will start selling away. And that's what you don't want, because you want your properties to appreciate, so put in the money. It's worth it to maintain your property. Okay, now electrical safety. A lot of people do not realize this, but I'll put up some interesting statistics here. What do we look for in electrical safety? Not only faults that can give you electric shock or burn you or kill you, but faults that can cause fire and faults that can cause explosions. Fire can be caused by electrical wiring. In fact, this is the most single cause of building problems. The Suruhan has got very clear guidelines, okay, and regulations and codes are very, very clear. So all our inspections are done in accordance to these compliances, okay, and make sure that whoever that you get to do your electrical wiring inspections are competent people. Sorry, I have to show you some interesting statistics from the Suruhan website. Analisa kemalangan elektrik di Malaysia tahun 2002-2010. Pulau Pinang, the highest. Pulau Pinang, the highest, followed by Kedah. Looks like I'm not going to come back again. Well, I'm from Selangor. I'm just about 61, okay? So this is Kemalangan, okay? So what's wrong with you guys? Analisa Kemalangan, okay? Also Pulau Pinang here, percentage. And then here I compare to Hong Kong, so I'm not going to Hong Kong and UK, So they have a lot of fires as well. So look, it's not just you, okay? And product safety. All right, so don't ignore the fact that there are a lot of people that die and get burned or have accidents because of the electrical issues. Now, these are some photographs that we see all the time. You may take it for granted, This photograph here, we have a little tool here that checks whether the earth wiring is there. Many times the earth is not even there. Okay? And anyway, this one was taken in a project that we did the training the last time. I believe it's from PISA. Yeah, public building. Okay. Here, you see here, this is the, sorry it's a bit dark here. This is the switch room. Every building has got an electrical switch room, where the TMB comes in and then you come to all the switch room that distribute. So this room is full of electrical components. But what happens is there's a leak on top here, right on top of it. So when water comes down, it will blow up the whole of the electrical systems, and to repair this kind of equipment will take you months, maybe 3-6 months. So if it happens to your property, you can just shift out for 3 months, 6 months, because you won't have electricity. Okay, infrared thermography. Okay. Some of the properties in Penang had the benefit, which I've come up to do infrared for you guys. Infrared, when you arrive at KLIA, there's a couple of cameras that check you for SARS, they check you for fever. Now, we're using the similar equipment, but a lot more sophisticated, to check for leaks and electrical issues and all kinds of issues in your buildings. So if you can see this here, this picture here, you see that's a flat roof, and the spots there tell you there's water underneath the roof in that place. But you can't see it with your naked eye. So that tells you there's leaks underneath. Here, this is electrical work here, can you see that? When we use the infrared, you can see that it's very hot. And if you look at the temperature here, it's almost at flash over point. Flash over point means it's going to catch fire. So we are able to diagnose this kind of things very quickly using the technology that we have. Okay? And same thing here, okay, more electrical issues. And when you look at the temperature, the green part there, it's getting very, very hot. And we also use it for leaks. Traditionally, I would use this to check, but today, I use infrared thermography. So this is the beam that you can see water, but when I check it with the infrared, you can see all the blue color areas. And that's not a ghost, huh? Yeah. So that's the kind of technology that's available that you can use now to diagnose the buildings very quickly. So these are more infrared thermographies. It can also check the external of the buildings for cracks and leaks just by scanning. Okay, this is gas explosions. Do you all have LPG gas here in Penang? No, not yet. Pipe gas? Pipe gas. LPG gas, okay. Everybody knows about the Empire Shopping Center in Subang Jaya. That's where I used to live. Well, it was caused by a gas explosion. And this one here on the right is Hampshire in KLCC. Happened on Mother's Day of 2001. It happened on Mother's Day around 7 p.m. A lot of the residents in here and here, the neighboring building, were out for dinner. So luckily, nobody died except the poor person who was in this unit, one expatriate, he died. And he had complained about gas smell in his apartment. He just moved in 3 days. He had complained about gas leak. And they came to fix it, but somehow or other, I don't think they got it right. So if you look at the gas explosion here, because I investigated the building next to it, okay? So if you see here, the gas explosion caused all of the windows and the handrail also gone. The handrail is on the other building, okay? The opposite side of the building, about 60 meters away. So I was on the building 60 meters away, Hampshire residents. You can see the windows here. Can you see the whole frame has gone in? And all of the windows here, basically all the glass that is found on Hampshire Park is now in Hampshire residents. This photograph was taken actually in my own house, where I had some problems with my gas stove. And when I called this company, it's a Japanese company, they sent a technician, and this is what he did. That's just my house. I almost imagine this could have been avoided in Hampshire Park, the explosion. Today, you can buy gas meters like this to put inside your kitchen to detect. It's not expensive, it's about 60, 70 ringgit. So, something that you can think of. So, punca kejadian of gas pipe, again, statistics from Suruhan. A lot of problems with gas pipe. Okay? So gas inspection is also part of something that you need to consider. So now, how I had put forward this schedule between level 1, level 2, and level 3 is in this flow chart, okay? So I'm not going to go through this because, I believe that we're going to ask MPT to just form a committee so that we can work out between all the stakeholders the most appropriate way for us to implement these inspections. Now, really, a lot of people in your mind here are saying, can we afford inspection? Okay. Now, I have done many inspections here in Penang and in Kuala Lumpur, and also various places in Southeast Asia. Now, we believe that the range of getting professionals to do the work is approximately 150 to 2 ringgit per square feet, depending on the type of buildings that you have. Larger buildings can be cheaper, like shopping malls and things like that. Okay? But this is something that we are encouraging you to prepare and to accept the reality of the fact that your buildings are aging and you need to do this kind of levels of comprehensive inspections. Because with the rising value in asset class, buildings are getting dilapidated. Okay? So can you afford not to inspect your property? I'm going to put it to you. Right? Can you afford not to? Some people say, I just sell, then I go and move to another place. When you sell your property, what can you buy with the money? You're going to get a smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller place, further and further and further away. So if you live in a particular place, what is best is to maintain your properties. Put the money down and maintain it. A property that's maintained well fetches a better value than for you to keep on selling and moving, selling and moving. Okay? So, more regulations. I never agreed with more regulations, but in KL, we had one case where the property developer refused to even give drawings to the property owner to do inspections. This building, they wanted to do inspections, but the owner refused. They said, no, we're not going to give you drawings. How are you going to maintain the building if you have no drawings? Even though you buy a simple handphone, they give you a book, a manual to maintain your how to maintain your phone, right? Even you buy a blender or a toaster, they tell you how to maintain it. You buy a multi-million-dollar property, there's no drawing. So you went to court. Okay. Sad, right? So MM2H people always approach us, the masales, and somehow or other they are, although they are very vocal, but we welcome them under the MM2H program. In Penang, you guys enjoy the highest MM2H destination. So we get a lot of clients. But unfortunately, this is their observation. So the way forward, what we see, what our dream and our vision for you is, look, it's generational changes. Okay? You need to change within yourself. Okay? Proactive versus reactive. Don't wait for a building to fall, then you start building walls. Now, you guys got a platform to get it done. You've got all your politicians and your council members here serving you. So, decide what's best for yourself. And I think do not accept status quo. Okay? So, that's it. I told you I'll do it in 45 minutes, right? So thank you very much. I know you all have a lot of questions. So, I'm going to hand it over to the MC, and that's when you can. Thank you very much.
Majlis merakamkan ucapan terima kasih kepada yang berusaha arkitek Anthony Linti daripada Architect Center di atas taklimat yang telah disampaikan oleh beliau itu tadi. Sedang hadirin dan hadirat yang dihormati sekalian, kita teruskan majlis dengan
Assalamualaikum. Saya Encik Muni from European Somewhere in Berkala.